Hi again, everyone. It's John Henry with Youth with a Mission, Converge in Ocean City, New Jersey. Converge is a ministry that helps students to connect with missional organizations that are seeking interns. And those organizations can be businesses or nonprofits. They can be hospitals, schools, clinics, farms, studios. Our aim is to help the student discern their calling while they're completing a personalized missions project. During these 30 days of the month of April, we're now on day 24, I'm exploring 30 thoughts, and during these last 10 days, I'm exploring 2 Peter chapter 1, where it says, add to your faith, virtue, knowledge, self-control, perseverance, godliness, brotherly kindness, and love. And if you do these things and you're faithful at it, then you will be, you'll make your calling and election sure. So today's thought is knowledge. And for the word knowledge, I want to first look at several different scriptures, but first look at Romans chapter 12, verse 2, where it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing and perfect will. In Luke 8:18, it says, therefore consider carefully how you listen. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what he has, even what he thinks he has, will be taken from him. And then in Matthew 16:6, it says, be careful, Jesus said to them, be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now, what is that? Well, the Pharisees were more spiritual. They're spiritually minded. And you've run into people who are more spiritually minded, so much so heavenly minded that they're no earthly good. And then there are those who are so earthly minded. Those are the Sadducees. And they're so earthly minded that they're of no spiritual good. To be spiritual is not to be either or. It's not to be natural, certainly, and it's not to be so spiritual that you're of no good. Jesus gave parables about seeds, about farming, about trees, about building houses. They're very practical parables of teaching. They have spiritual meaning, but they have practical meaning as well. And so in John chapter 20, we get this illuminated here to us. We get to see what Jesus is talking about when he says, beware of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, that teaching, the yeast of their teaching, that which grows and takes up all of your thought life so that you can't see anything else. Listen to what happens in John chapter 12, verse 20, and reading on till about verse 29. Now there were some Greeks. Now those are the Sadducees. They're taught in Greek thinking, Aristotelian thinking. Aristotle had a natural observation gift. He would ask questions about what you observe with your eyes or sense with your senses, okay? There were some Greeks among those who went up to worship at the festival, and they came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, with a request. Sir, they said, we would like to see Jesus. See Jesus. Philip went to tell Andrew. Andrew and Philip in turn told Jesus. Jesus replied, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Verily, I truly tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Anyone who loves their life will lose it. Anyone who hates their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honor the one who serves me. Now my soul is troubled, he says, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason that I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. It's interesting that Jesus goes off on this kind of ultimate thought after being confronted by the Jewish Greeks, the Greek-taught Jews, the Sadducees. And they're fascinated with him. He's now become, I guess you could say, famous. And what happens after Jesus prays this prayer, Father, glorify your name? The voice comes from heaven and says, I have glorified it and will glorify it again. And the crowd that was there heard they heard this voice from heaven, and some said that it thundered, and others said that an angel had spoken to them. Now, which ones do you think heard the thunder? Those would be the Sadducees, the natural thinkers, who thought that they heard angels. The Pharisees. Now, there's a split thinking that happens. You need to be careful how you hear. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because God could be speaking from heaven and you still won't hear it. You'll think you heard an angel, or you'll think you heard thunder. You won't know it's the voice of the Father. So when we say add to virtue, knowledge, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, it's progressive. First, we have faith that we have been redeemed, that we have escaped the corruption of the world caused by evil desires, that we have everything we need. We are his children. He will provide for us. He does care for us. 1. 2, virtue. He is the most virtuous personality in the universe. He is the measure stick for character, integrity, moral goodness, virtue, holiness. And then we add to that. We get to know him first. Then we let him be our teacher. Then we begin to learn from him. And we learn spiritual things as well as natural things. We see the spiritual dynamic of all things. He is not spiritual or physical. He's all spirit. But we aren't spiritual or physical either. We are personal, and so is God. He wants us to know him after his person, and he wants us to learn from him. So we add knowledge. And then with that knowledge that comes from knowing him, we can demolish arguments and every pretension, as it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. That is, knowing him, the person of God. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That is why I call my blog, johnthenry.com, Thought Captivation blog. And you're welcome to visit that blog. That's where I'm posting this post, as well as about 400 plus more. So thanks for listening. Check out that blog, Thought Captivation blog, at johnthenry.com. And remember to wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Sanitize surfaces and doorknobs. Keep a safe social distance, and we'll all get through this coronavirus together. Thanks again for listening.